Let's push the button marked idiot and see what comes out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for another video game reaction of Cronos, the new
Dawn, from the people that gave you the Silent Hill 2 remake from last year and a modern-day audience to Angela Orozco. Never, ever do that again. Do you understand? Or I will come round and slap you quite a few times. But some new footage of that game that I said in a very peculiar voice, I'm going to react to it now because when I look at that game, it does remind me a lot. It's heavily inspired by, of course, Dead Space, where you played Isaac. Such a great series of games. Let's not talk about that god-awful woke remake where you had gendered toilets, or actually non-gendered toilets, which is so stupid because at home, is your toilet gendered? No, of course it's not. But anyway, neither here or there, folks. Let's get on with today's video. Let's have a look at this IGN, a reaction to the game. One of their journalists, if video game journalists are a dying breed, which we know they are because it's all about the home journalists like you and me going out there and making these groovy videos with no restrictions whatsoever.
The next half hour.
She brings you.
Boom! Right.
Due to decades of popularity, there's
Dale
always going
Driver.
to be new challenges stepping up to try and take that survival horror crown. Most fail, but when Bloober Team, fresh off the overwhelming success of their Silent Hill 2 remake, steps up with an original effort, you take notice. And that's why I was so eager to
James
try out
Sutherland.
Cronos: The New Dawn. But does this rusty sci-fi, set in a futuristic Eastern European dystopia, have what it takes to make its own mark? Or does it just merge into the pack? After playing the first 2 hours, the signs are there that Bloober Team could have a new survival horror hit on its hands, even if I do have some slight reservations.
And what would those reservations be, Mrs. Driver?
Bloober Team briefly stepping away from the established lore of Silent Hill to tell an original story. One set in a harsh, futuristic hellhole that was once called Poland. Taking inspiration from real locations, it tells a story of a character known as Traveler, who explores this fallen world and time travels into different eras on a mission to extract human souls from long-lost important people. It's all suitably weird, otherworldly and oppressive, complete with a sky coloured in a constant moody hue, and pockets of time oddities that defy the laws of nature. Basically, it's a horrible place to be, but despite its nightmarish visuals, it's still built on the foundation of a once thriving city with...
Well, I gotta say that Poland is a lovely place to be. I went there in 2018. Beautiful policemen, beautiful women, beautiful food, and very cheap to live in. Well, it was back then. I don't know about now. But the reason why I pause on this scene here, folks, because this reminds me, the environment reminds me of Gears of War 1 and 2, particularly, not so much 3, because if you look at those games again, they are steeped in Gothic architecture. And again, something like Team Bloober likes to do is revisit that type of environment. It really suits their game palette very, very well. So I do like this. You cannot fault them on what they do here in terms of their game design. I actually like Team Bloober, by the way.
In architecture. So, much like Silent Hill 2, despite the horrors that lurk in the fog, significant sections like housing blocks and flower shops still feel strangely familiar to explore, unlike, say, the phallic-obsessed hallways of something like Scorn.
Confirmed dive location.
So you know already it's a girl boss because the male traveler, that's the person that she's playing and who she's residing over at the moment, you're now taking his place because he failed his mission. Because, of course, folks, it's 2025. Men fail every single mission now, don't they?
In D3.
Just farted there.
The nearby housing project.
This sense of familiarity, despite the unique horror aesthetic, is an approach that permeates all throughout Cronos, right down to its gameplay. And it feels like its genre's peers, perhaps at times to a fault. The weight of the Traveller, the mantling animation, squeezing through gaps,
and squeezing through titties.
What is a turnaround?
Where was I? Oh, sorry.
Reading notes, juggling inventory slots, safe rooms, it's all second nature for anyone that's just even a little experienced in the genre. It does feel great though, and immediately hits our quality bar that you'd expect. But at first, I couldn't help be a little concerned that this is just essentially the same game I've played 20 times already with a fresh coat of paint. Fortunately though, it eventually became apparent that Cronos comes with a distinct enough spin on ranged combat, demonstrating that the horror. The bulk of the enemies in Cronos are organic, slimy, tendril monstrosities called orphans.
Or, as we know them in the UK, politicians who like to use VPN at their offices for security reasons, but if you're a member of the British public, which they pretend not to be, then you can't use them. Oh, I'm so salty today, folks. I love it.
They're not exactly unique in terms of visual design, but Cronos does offer a fresh take on how you manage these foes. Like Resident Evil's Crimson Heads, orphan corpses need to be dealt with. Unlike Crimson Heads, orphans don't reanimate, but rather become available biomass for other orphans to merge with, turning a regular foe into a souped-up beast.
Oh, so it's a dating simulator with zombies. Hi, I'm available. Come and join your orphans together. We can have a menage a trois. I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, but you know what? I'm leaving it in this video.
And you only need to witness this process once to quickly learn how valuable it is to destroy their remains. With this mindset, the familiar survival horror rhythm that Cronos lures you into is completely altered. Enemy encounters are no longer run and gun, but rather a game of deliberate tactics. You need to make sure that you don't kill an enemy while it's close to another that's currently engaging.
No, why not?
Find yourself in even more trouble. And you'll need to do that while also trying to crowd control in the extremely tight combat spaces. So each battle presents a constant question about where and when you fire your shot.
So again, I'm assuming there's no infinite ammo mode here like in Resident Evil when you complete the game the first time through. I'm going to assume that you have to look for your or manage your munitions very, very carefully, right?
Much like Silent Hill 2, most of the combat is way more intimate than ranged, despite the presence of firearms. The Traveller comes equipped with a morphing handgun, not too dissimilar to the service weapon in Remedy's classic Control. Although upgrades, like the shotgun module called the Hammer, are mechanical objects that you can collect and attach, and once applied, these upgrades allow the firearm to easily morph into the form of your choosing. Ammo though is scarce, and in this regard, Cronos is much more traditional horror than action horror. Once again, if you dive in expecting to mow down fodder like you're playing Resident Evil 4, then expect to have a bad time. Enemies are tough, and merged enemies are significantly tougher. So, perhaps more than ever, ammo is extremely precious and, at least from what I played, every shot truly does count.
So from what I'm gathering, this is actually a strictly shoot 'em up. You can't melee enemies, it seems, because all he's talking about, the fact is, you got to manage your bullet time very, very carefully and not to waste them all. I guess you can't, well, you probably can collect resources along the way and make more or just find them here, there and everywhere. I'm very curious about this, but surely you should be able to melee an enemy. Again, they're really OP'd enemies. And I like the fact that they're not spongy enemies. One of the other complaints that we do get these days, you might get a great game, but then why do you feel so OP'd as a character when the game is not presenting challenges to you? Because that's a fundamental thing of why you enjoy a video game of this type, you know, made for men. Didn't end so well for you, did it, motherfucker?
Like Dead Space's Isaac Clarke, the Traveller can also stomp and swing a punch, but across my 2-hour session, his moves felt largely like flourishes rather than useful combat techniques. So,
okay, that answered my question.
Ammo and the possibility that even early enemies can quickly evolve into unstoppable beasts, you need to quickly learn a new playstyle that's distinct from other survival horror games. From what I saw, the key to combat success in Cronos is a systematic approach utilizing two extremely valuable abilities: charge and burn.
You cretin!
Which is the sword and the shotgun, you can hold down the trigger to charge your shot, and I can imagine this being the case for the entire arsenal. Once I began it.
So yeah, I'm seeing the old glimmers of red and green flashing up, so I'm assuming that red, you're near death, and green, you revitalized yourself, and away we go.
experimenting with the power of a charge shot to the head. And yes, this is a headshot game. There's no great emphasis on dismemberment. Despite feeling like you're playing Dead Space at times, I quickly realised firing off a weak normal round was ultimately as good as this.
But you know what? In a day and age where video games are taking an infinite amount of time to make, for some reason Team Bloober has a handle on making games on time, and whether the reception is positive, middling, or negative, they just roll on to the next game, and I really respect them for that.
After spending a lot of time with both Resident Evil 3 and Silent Hill 2 in recent years, a dodge was something that I sorely missed at first, and led to some pretty close and not so close calls in combat encounters. But after getting to grips with the combat rhythm, I quickly realised that I could live without it, and the game was never designed with this in mind.
Well, to be honest, when I actually hear this, it sounds actually quite a challenging game. It sounds rather good. I mean, again, if you expect to have the dodge mechanics in there and suddenly Team Bloober removes that, to me, it sounds like a more challenging game to experience. So, hoorah to them for doing that.
More about their plight. Beyond that though, it's all a mystery. So, although Cronos appears interesting on the surface, and I'm certainly itching to find out more, it's hard to say right now if this tale will meet the standards of Silent Hill 2. A story that Bloober can't actually claim for itself, despite the good work it did with the remake.
So again, from what I gathered from this remake summary from IGN, you're going between pockets of time to meet certain characters and perhaps save them. So again, the whole time travel aspect is nothing new to Bloober. They did it with the Medium in 2021, where you had the same character, but she's in two universes with a different appearance, but it's the same female, right? So yeah, it's cool.
Rather than just merging into the pack.
You almost fried that. Good thing I was around.
And if you like that video and want to find out more about Cronos, be sure to stick with IGN.
I don't mind if I do, actually. And thank you very much, Dale Driver of IGN, for that breakdown of his 2 hours, I am going to assume, of Cronos. Anyway, enough of that silliness, folks, and let's get back to this screen right here. So the impressions I've seen of this game, it looks really, really good. It's like again, I've said, Team Bloober are a very confident bunch of Polish developers who are just churning out title after title. And they do care. Obviously, praise is the utmost importance. Obviously, the game is free from bugs and it's released on time. I'm amazed they haven't actually been bought out by a bigger conglomerate like Xbox or PlayStation. But that should never happen, by the way, because we've seen already what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. Look at Bungie. They're about to be closed down very soon, and I can't say I feel sorry for them because Marathon is a piece of shit game that should never see the light of day. But someone who should see the light of day, and you know what I'm going to say, folks, it's yours truly right here. And if you ended up enjoying this video today, consider liking. You don't have to subscribe, although I would like to get up to 15,000 by the end of next month. And if I were you, and if you were me, you should definitely catch up for the next video.
Tune in next time, Space Freaks, and hear your doobry go ping in the next gripping installment of
Kung Fu Hot Dog.